Right, so David Lammy has just dropped what might be the most controversial justice reform in decades, and somehow managed to unite both his own backbenchers and the opposition in thinking he's absolutely lost the plot. And honestly, when you've got Labour MPs and Tories singing from the same hymn sheet, you know something's gone spectacularly wrong. Welcome back to UK Political Insight, where today we're diving into the absolute chaos that is Lammy's jury trial reforms, or as Robert Jenrick's calling it. But before we proceed, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more updates on this channel. Thank you. The beginning of the end for jury trials. Grab your wigs and gavels because this one's a proper mess. So, let's set the scene. The Crown Court backlog is massive. We're talking over 78,000 cases piled up like a bureaucratic Jenga tower that's about to collapse. Some trials are being scheduled for 2030. 2030! That's closer to the date we're supposed to have flying cars than it is to when these crimes were actually committed. The system's broken. Everyone agrees on that. But Lammy's solution? Oh, it's a doozy. He's decided that the best way to clear this backlog is to essentially say, you know what, juries are overrated anyway, let's just let judges handle it. Now, before we go any further, let's be clear about what's actually being proposed here. Lammy's introduced these swift courts, where judges will decide guilt in cases with likely sentences of 3 years or less. No jury, just one person in a wig making all the calls. Sexual assault cases, burglary, drug dealing, robbery, all could potentially be decided by a single judge. And here's the kicker, these judges retain full sentencing powers. So they could hear a case expecting a 3-year sentence, decide mid-trial that actually this deserves 5 years, and bang, off you go to prison based on one person's judgment. No 12 angry men or women required. The Ministry of Justice is also scrapping the right of defendants to elect a jury trial for either way offences. Right now, if you're charged with one of these crimes, you can choose to have your day in front of a jury in Crown Court. It's a fundamental right that's been around for centuries. But under Lammy's plans, judges will assess your case, and if they reckon it'll probably result in 3 years or less, congratulations, you're getting the express service whether you like it or not. Democracy? Jury of your peers? No, mate, we've got a backlog to clear. And the leaked plans were even worse. Angela Rayner apparently wanted to go full nuclear, with juries only hearing murder, rape, manslaughter, and public interest cases with sentences of 5 years and over. Everything else, judge decides. It's like they looked at the jury system, which has been a cornerstone of British justice since the Magna Carta, and thought, yeah, but it's a bit inconvenient, isn't it? Now, Robert Jenrick, Shadow Justice Secretary and man who's never met a Lammy policy he didn't want to absolutely demolish, has come out swinging. And fair play to him, he's landed some proper punches. He's saying that Starmer and Lammy think ordinary people are too stupid to sit on juries, that the message is clear, the great British public are too troublesome, too time-consuming to be trusted with administering justice. And you know what? When you strip away the political rhetoric, he's kind of got a point. What else are we supposed to think when the government's essentially saying we need to take justice out of the hands of everyday citizens because it's taking too long? But here's where it gets even better. Jenrick's pointed out that if Lammy was actually serious about tackling the backlog, he'd get the court sitting around the clock. More shifts, more court time, actually using the infrastructure we've already got. But no, Lammy refuses. Instead, he's admitted that his plan won't even guarantee the backlog falls. Let that sink in. The entire justification for gutting jury trials is to clear the backlog, but Lammy himself has confessed it might not even work. In fact, he said it'll get worse before it gets better. The plan will only be deemed a success if the backlog starts falling by 2029. That's 5 years away, and the projection is that we'll hit over 100,000 cases by 2028. So we're fundamentally restructuring our justice system, removing ancient rights, all for a solution that the Justice Secretary admits might make things worse in the short term and might not even solve the problem in the long term. It's like burning down your house because you've got a leaky tap and hoping that maybe by the time you rebuild it in 5 years, the plumbing will be better. And it's not just the Tories kicking off. Labour MPs are vowing to rebel. Actual Labour backbenchers are saying they'll try to block the legislation. When your own team is threatening to vote against you, that's not a minor disagreement on policy details. That's a full-blown, what on earth are you thinking moment. The jury trial isn't just some administrative procedure, it's a fundamental pillar of British justice. It's the principle that you're judged by your peers, by ordinary people who understand the world you live in, not just by someone who spent their entire career in the legal system. And let's talk about the human cost, because behind all these statistics and political point scoring, there are actual people waiting for justice. Lammy mentioned Katie in his speech. She was repeatedly abused by her partner, reported him to police in 2017, and then had to wait 6 unbearable years for justice. During that time, she lost her job because her mental health deteriorated. She became isolated, lived in fear, lost faith in the system. And Lammy's right, this isn't an isolated failure. It's systemic. The courts are broken. But here's the question, is the solution to this systemic failure to remove fundamental rights, or is it to actually fix the system? The Ministry of Justice reckons their modelling suggests the number of cases going to jury trial will be cut in half. About 15,000 cases went to trial in the year to June 2025, so we're talking potentially 7,500 cases a year being decided by judges alone instead of juries. That's not a minor tweak, that's a massive structural change to how justice works in this country. And let's address the elephant in the room. Magistrates are also getting their sentencing powers increased from 12 months to 18 months, potentially up to 24 months if necessary. So we're not just removing juries, we're also concentrating more power in the hands of fewer people across the entire justice system. It's a double whammy of centralizing judicial power while removing public participation. The really galling part is that there are other solutions on the table. Jenrick mentioned getting courts sitting around the clock. We could recruit more judges. We could invest in court infrastructure. We could actually resource the justice system properly instead of running it on a shoestring budget and then acting shocked when it can't cope. But those solutions cost money and take political will. Scrapping jury trials, that's quick, it's dirty, and it shifts the blame from government underinvestment to the jury system being inefficient. And there's a deeper philosophical question here about trust. Do we trust ordinary people to make these decisions? Juries aren't perfect. Sometimes they get it wrong. But judges aren't perfect either. They're human. They have biases. They make mistakes. The beauty of the jury system is that it distributes that responsibility across 12 people with different perspectives and life experiences. It's democracy in action. It's saying that justice isn't just the preserve of the legal elite. It belongs to all of us. And when you start chipping away at that, when you start saying, actually, we'll just let the professionals handle it, you're fundamentally changing the relationship between the state and the citizen. Lammy's probably sitting in his office right now wondering how this all went so wrong. He's got a genuine problem to solve. The backlog is real. The delays are unconscionable. People like Katie are being let down catastrophically by the system. But instead of presenting a comprehensive plan to fix the courts, he's presented a plan that undermines fundamental rights, won't definitely solve the problem, and has united pretty much everyone against him. That's not political genius, that's political suicide. The real test will be whether Labour MPs actually follow through on their rebellion threats. Parliamentary rebellions are one thing when they're just noise, but when it comes to actually voting against your own government's legislation, that's when things get serious. Starmer's got a massive majority, so even if a few Labour MPs rebel, the legislation will probably pass, but the political damage will be significant. And for what? A plan that might not even work and comes at the cost of a cornerstone of British justice. So there you have it. David Lammy's jury trial reforms have managed the impressive feat of uniting Labour rebels, opposition MPs, and anyone who's ever watched 12 Angry Men in thinking this is a terrible idea. The backlog is real, the crisis is genuine, but the solution can't be to gut fundamental rights and hope it all works out by 2029. That's not reform, that's panic. If you've made it this far, smash that subscribe button because we're posting multiple times a day keeping you updated on all the chaos in Westminster. Drop a comment below with your thoughts on whether jury trials should be scrapped or if Lammy's lost the plot. And hit that notification bell because trust me, this story's only just getting started and you won't want to miss what happens next. This has been UK Political Insight and I'll see you in the next one.